go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing?
Once more unto the breach. Dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews, connections in mind. Dune is the latest adaptation of the book by Frank Herbert, is directed by Denis Villeneuve, and has an all-star cast including, but not limited to, Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Oscar Isaac, so many others. And this film follows the events of the book, featuring the House of Atreides, one of the great houses of interstellar humans who comes to the planet Arrakis, also known as Dune, to mine the spice, the element by which interstellar travel is possible. However, one of their enemy houses and the previous ruler of Arrakis, House Harkonnen, is set on wiping them out and is not happy about leaving Arrakis. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Dune, as well as some other films. There'll be a full subscription below. I'll be doing my spoiler-free thoughts first off, though, so no worries just yet. Just so you know, there will be spoilers later on in this review. But first, let's get some spoiler-free thoughts on the movie Dune. Is it a good movie? Is it worth seeing in a theater? Is it a good adaptation of the book, which I believe is an important aspect of this? I feel like with all Denis Villeneuve films, this is definitely one that you need to see on a big screen. I know it is available on HBO Max, and there are definitely people who have a legitimate reason why they can't go to a movie theater, but seriously, if you're vaccinated and it's safe for you to do so, please go out to a movie theater and see this, because this is just a gorgeous movie. The cinematography, I mean, just... This book has visuals that really that are translated to the screen so well and such clarity. This really just needs to be seen on a big screen, and I mean, I can't gush enough about how gorgeous this film looks. Again, when reading the Book of Dune, I wanted to read I had very little familiarity with Dune going into this film, so I wanted to read the book first so that I could at least know going into that. I'll get back into the plot of it later on, as far as the book goes. But I read the entirety of Dune about a week and a half, and I finished it about a couple days prior to seeing the movie. And I will say the visuals that are described in this book are pretty much translated right from page to screen in this movie. So props to Denis Villeneuve and his cinematographer for bringing this up to life. I mean, as far as, Hollywood spectacle, this is certainly fits the bill. Not all spectacle needs to be just straight up action. This is definitely one that qualifies. Now, as far as the plot goes, I'm not going to consider this a spoiler because while it doesn't necessarily show in the marketing of the trailers, both the director Denis Villeneuve and Warner Brothers have come out to say this is not a complete adaptation of Dune. This is a part 1 of 2. If you again, no spoilers as to plot just yet, but if you've read the book, I would say the events covered go right about to there. So there are three chunks of the book. This is separated into three books essentially, and the film covers all of the first part and about 2/3-ish of maybe 75% of the second book. Again, there have been 2-part movies and adaptations of books in the past. Recent examples include, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. The last Twilight book had Part 1 and 2 as well. This is nothing new. It is possible to do a Part 1 and Part 2 of an adaptation of a book. And also The Hobbit was broken into 3 parts. I would say that didn't work quite as well. However, so with that being said, this is not a complete adaptation of the book. So if you're looking forward to this as a complete adaptation of the novel Dune, you're gonna have to wait until they make the second one. Okay, but with that being said, let's get into the plot of this. And as far as, is it a good adaptation of the book? Does it work as a movie, even knowing that it's an incomplete story? I would say yes, this is a pretty faithful adaptation of the book. However, it feels like they're on fast forward in a lot of things, and that can be a help and a hurt. What I mean by help is, going through this book, I was struck by how this is a dense book. There's like, a lot of this is, plot again, inside of a plot, inside of a plot. A lot of inner monologue going on between each and every character. And so that sucks up a lot of pages in this book. And this film doesn't necessarily do it doesn't do a lot of inner monologue. It goes away a lot fairly quickly. This is over 2 hours long, a movie, but it feels pretty fast. Like, as far as pacing goes, this feels like a very well-paced movie, and as a adaptation of a book goes, that is a positive in my opinion. However, I think this is a negative is that in this book, these inner monologues, a lot of the motivations that in the characters, such as Paul's motivations, his mother Jessica's motivations of the Baron Harkonnen. Their thoughts of some of the other people, they're very important plot points as to why the characters do what they do. And when you get rid of that, a lot of the conveying of emotion, the thought process is left to the actors' faces, and you have to read a lot more into their dialogue. And I feel like that is very hit and miss in this movie, in my opinion. It sometimes works, but a lot of the times it feels like you're leaving a lot of emotion up to the actors and actresses' faces, and I don't necessarily think it works all the time. And I feel like that's a detriment to this film. Also, I mean, I don't know if it's anyone's fault per se. I feel like, people are trying to be stone-faced while keeping their emotions in check, and while all these bad things are going on. That's definitely a part of the book, and I feel like that's sort of part of the movie, but I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I feel like a lot of the actors in this movie, like, their delivery is kind of flat, and I feel like it was not necessarily entertaining to watch these things go in motion. Again, no spoilers as a plot, but there is one of the twists that happens. If I went into this movie knowing absolutely nothing about Dune, it feels like this plot would just come right out of nowhere, which, again, plot twists do that, but in the book, like, motivations are explored, things are coming before they happen, and when they do happen, it feels like a gut punch. This one, I don't think it feels like a gut punch. It feels like, oh, so that happened. And then, just kind of fast forwards with very little explanation on that. And I feel like that's to this film's detriment. So as a adaptation of the events of the book, yes, I feel like that works quite well. If it works as a standalone movie, if you knew nothing about Dune going into this, I'm not as convinced that it works as well. So that's my cautionary tale with this. If you're going into this not knowing the events of Dune or anything, if you've never seen the 80s adaptation with David Lynch directing, I think that you will get the Cliff's Notes version of this, honestly. I am very glad I read this book prior to seeing the movie, personally, because I feel like that kind of carried some of the weight of conveying the emotions that I don't think that the movie itself and the actors involved were able to do that, per se, in my opinion. So, overall, my summary of this film is, it is absolutely gorgeous to look at, but the fact that it is, the fact that it is an incomplete, it is a part one, I feel like as a part one, reading through this book, I was like, knowing that this was going to be a part one, I was looking for different places that was like, oh yeah, I bet they'll stop right around there, and that's probably a good place to stop. And the movie does stop at one of those places. I feel like okay, I feel satisfied with that. And they are setting things up for the part 2 that I'm very excited to see. And I feel like Denis Villeneuve needs to finish this. He needs to film part 2. They have not filmed the second half of Dune, unlike those other part 1 and part 2 movies where they filmed them back to back and just edited them to split them up into 2 movies. No, we need to get a sequel to this, just because Denis Villeneuve's his cinematography as well is just gorgeous, and it's a good translation of the book, and it feels like it would be a shame if this bombs and we leave this story told incomplete. But as far as the moviegoer goes, I would say I was left wanting more, which is both a good and a bad thing, in my opinion. So if I was going to give Dune 2021 a letter grade, I would say this is a solid B. Definitely want to see the second half of the story, and it's definitely a gorgeous film to look at. But overall, I'm just I don't know. Some things just did not work for me, and I feel like that's sort of a fault of. This probably was already a somewhat difficult book to adapt, and I feel like some of those challenges were on display here in the movie. So, those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Dune, the 2021. Now let's get into some spoiler talk as to certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you, and where you may have seen them before. Now, I feel like, and again, I haven't done any background research as to confirm this, but I have a very strong suspicion that George Lucas and the production team behind Star Wars was very inspired by Dune, because this book, I believe, came out in 1965, 68. So it makes sense that when it came time to bring Star Wars to life, a lot of the imagery is kind of paying homage to Dune in a certain sense, along with a whole bunch of other things. So I feel like it's only fitting that Dune would this Dune 2021 would kind of crib back some of the elements of Star Wars when it came to bringing Dune to the big screen. Some instances that were big in my mind were the sunsets. They're very reminiscent. The sunsets on Arrakis in this movie are very reminiscent of the sunsets on Tatooine, even though there's only one sun. But there are 2 moons. Yeah, there's a very big similarity on there. Also, scenes where you got the Harkonnen and Sardaukar soldiers marching through the palace in Arrakeen. The way those are shot, they are very reminiscent of how the clone troopers and Anakin are being shot in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when the purge of the Jedi Temple is happening. That is some shared imagery as well. Also, Paul's wardrobe in the first third of the movie, that black, all black with the belt getup that he's got going, very reminiscent, in my opinion, to Luke's Jedi robe, all black Jedi robes in Return of the Jedi. Also, and I feel like there's sort of a people might not like this, but there is a certain similarity here with the prequels of Star Wars in terms of a focus on the imperial politics and the plots within plots as to the maneuverings of especially when House Harkonnen is trying to make it, they have the secret Emperor's support, but you can't be too obvious about it, and they had all these costed adventures. There's certain elements there, as well as the fact that Paul is also, the prophesied one. Again, he's not the only. This is Star Wars is the only movie that has, a the one imagery associated with it. But again, the fact that he's come to a desert planet to become the one. These are also to lead a rebellion against the Empire. These are all things that I feel like Star Wars cribbed from the original Dune novel, and now Dune is taking it back from Star Wars. There are probably some other similarities that could be brought into this, but those are just the main points that I was focusing on and wanted to talk about. Also, it's sort of a nitpick, but I haven't seen the original 1980s Dune movie, but I have seen clips, especially the clips with the sandworms, and I feel like the sandworm design in the 80s movie looks a lot better than the sandworm design in the new movie. I mean, I'm sure that the sandworm design in the new movie is probably more biologically accurate as far as, you know, taking a small worm and that's how its mouth looks and then just sizing it up a billion. But I kind of like the three mouth look of the sandworm from the original movie better. Again, not really a huge plot point, but it's just kind of a nitpick in my opinion. But what did you think of Dune 2021? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my TV review of Season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks. All 10 episodes are now available on Paramount+. As well as my next movie review, which will be for Marvel's Eternals, which comes out November 5th. And if you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.